Before I show you how this course works, here is a quick quiz for you. Question 1. What is the English word for this? Question 2. What is the English word for this? Question 3. What is the English word for this? Now, I think you got all 3 of those answers correct, but here's another question for you. To remember those words, did you need to study vocabulary lists? Of course not. You have heard words like phone, pen and bottle so many times because they are very common, so you just remember them naturally. But what if all words could be like this? Here's what I mean. The reason you have difficulty remembering advanced vocabulary and slang is because these advanced terms are not very common. But what if we could make all of these advanced terms very common, so that you could remember them naturally? But how, you may ask? Welcome to the No Study British English Vocabulary Masterclass. Here's how it works. The whole course is delivered via a secret podcast. So that means there are no complicated logins to course platforms. You just click a link that will give you access to a secret podcast. Then on day 1, you will receive a podcast with 10 pieces of vocabulary presented to you. Now you can listen to the podcast, or you can also watch it via video where the vocabulary comes to life in a very entertaining vocab presentation, like this. When I was young, I didn't have 1 girlfriend, I didn't have 2 girlfriends, I didn't have 3 girlfriends, I didn't have 4, I had 5 girlfriends. So I had lots of women, so I was a Lothario. Lothario, a man who has lots of women. Then on day 2, your mind will have a rest. Then on day 3, you will receive another podcast with all of the vocabulary from day 1 used in personal funny stories, like this. I spent most of my 20s without a girlfriend, so I definitely was not a Lothario in my 20s. Then on day 4, again your mind will have a rest. And then on day 5, you will receive another short 10-minute podcast with all of the vocabulary from the week used in an entertaining, almost childlike story, like this. Once upon a time, there lived a king and a queen. Now, the queen didn't know that the king actually had quite a lot of other girlfriends. He was actually a bit of a Lothario. Then after you hear this vocabulary so many times in 1 week used in different contexts, that neurons in your brain start to connect and you begin to remember the vocabulary naturally, because it becomes very common vocabulary, like phone and pen and bottle. But that's not it, because then in week 2, you again will have 10 new pieces of vocabulary, but all the vocabulary from the previous weeks will be reused. This course has been made in a structured way which constantly reuses vocabulary so that you never forget it. So in reality, all you need to do is listen. The podcasts will always be less than 10 minutes. And if you want to watch the video version, the link is inside the podcast so that you can do everything on your phone. So just listen and watch your vocabulary grow without studying. But if you do enjoy studying, there are a few bonuses for you. Bonus number 1, made for you flashcards every week where you can review the vocabulary and play games with it, using the images from the vocab presentation so that it comes alive in your mind. Bonus number 2, access to the No Study Vocab community. Here you will be able to ask me questions to see if you are using the vocabulary correctly. Bonus number 3, monthly live sessions with me where I will check your sentences and tell you if they are correct. And that's it. So just to recap, every week you will get this. On day 1, you will receive a vocab presentation video and also podcast. You can consume the content in video or podcast, it's up to you. On day 3, you will receive another podcast with the new terms used in personal stories. And obviously, this is rock and roll English, so they are funny personal stories. On day 5, another podcast using the new terms in another entertaining story. And then the process starts again the next week with new vocabulary, but the old vocabulary will be recycled so that you can build your vocabulary in a structured way, where even the most difficult words become so common that you use them and remember them naturally, like the words pen, phone and bottle. So if you are interested in growing your vocabulary to an advanced level, click the link below and join the course today. Keep on rocking.